You're listening to Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. Small town feel with big time ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
Well, it's a nice, cool morning. Now we finally get some fall.
That's right.
Yeah, I got
That's
Elizabeth
nice.
Becker here from Crowley House of Hope, and you walked over here. Did you enjoy the walk?
It was nice when in the sunny spots,
Yeah.
not so much in the shade.
Yeah. Well, it's about right. I mean,
It's good.
I get a little bit off kilter when we have like 75-degree days in December. Now I don't mind 75-degree days in July, but I like winter, fall. I like seasons.
To feel the season.
Yeah, so it just is. My wife loves this time of year,
Great.
so yeah, it's just wonderful. I like it because it's football, of course, but whatever. How about you, Josh? What's going on over there?
Not much. Just trying to stay warm.
Stay warm. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Here's a good way to stay warm. You want to hear about it?
Oh boy.
Hang around the kitchen some. All right, all right. Put some meat in them bones. There you
I'm
go.
working on it.
All right. What I was told about you that you could eat all day and it didn't affect you. How
Enjoy it
yeah,
now.
exactly what I was thinking. It won't be that way forever.
Right.
So anyway, so we're going to talk about what's going on with the House of Hope and all these things that are going on with the government and the food stamps. I don't know if everybody's aware, but last night the Senate voted to break the impasse, and so they're going to go through the procedures and all this other stuff. But even if they went on express for the next 2 days and got everything done and got it on Trump's desk Wednesday or something like that, it's not like you just turn a switch on and all these things will just start happening.
Right. It will take time to unravel all of this.
I know, and that's what bothers me because I was talking to a couple of friends of mine in Sunday school who do do promises, and they said that last week was one of the busiest weeks they ever experienced. How about you?
Same here. Last week for us, I looked at the numbers before I walked over 300 services in 1 week, which is
Well more than
usual. Yes.
Well, they said that they guessed about 30% more than normal because of the tremendous amount of just the need, and and we'll talk about the politics. I'll talk about the politics some other time, really, because there's no point in it because we're not really here for that. But I'll probably talk more about it next Monday after things have kind of been worked out, and I can make commentary that's somewhat more enlightened. I hope. Who knows? Anyway, so before we jump into it, let's talk about our sponsors because they make all this happen for us. Of course, our friends Otto over at our place, great place as always, great breakfast, great lunch. Have you been to the one here in
I
town?
actually had breakfast at our place too yesterday morning, and had the chicken and waffles. It was wonderful.
Yeah, chicken and waffles. That's an unusual combination, but a lot of people like it.
I like it.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's the same quality. I have not been to this one here in Crowley because I go to the one in Burleson.
Right.
It's much closer to me. So,
Yeah.
and there's of course the one in Cleburne, and I have been at that one time, and I, it isn't like one's better than the other. They're all good.
They're good. Yeah.
And same with Gina's Pizza. I really enjoy that place. They got a lot of good things going on. They have the Wednesday night karaoke, got the Sunday night live music. They have the chess club on Tuesdays. Boy, I bet that's a party.
Nice.
Yeah, so, but whatever. Keeps them off the streets. Anyway, Gina's Pizza, though, is a great place to do business, a great place to have lunch, great place to have a nice meal without a lot of hassle. So go get yourself some pizza this week. It's nice and cold. Good day, good week for pizza. Also, my friend John Williams over at Old Pro Roofing, 817-734-2756. Come check your roof out. I don't know if we have any bad weather coming, but we will eventually. I mean, we're not going to be exempt. The last couple of winters have been fairly light, but, we're due for a heavy one. And you need to know if your roof's in good shape. Last time it rained pretty hard, I didn't have to worry because John had already inspected my roof and I was good to go. And it's a free inspection, and he'll tell you, yes, you're good. No, you need some shingles. No, you need a new roof, and he'll help you with the insurance on that. So 817-734-2756. And a friend, Jeff Kelly, 817-781-0546. He'll help you with the buying and selling in this area. He was on last week, and we were talking about real estate in this area. We're talking about real estate in general. The rates are a little bit lower than they've been, but, we were all both talking. If you're holding out for like what it was back in, the day 5 years, 6 years ago, and it was like 2.9%, it's not going back there. and he'll tell you buy the house, state the rate. So if you do buy a house and in 3 years from now the rate's much lower, you can refinance. Like that's what Robin and I did when we built our house in 1991. We're still in it too. The rate was like 9.25%, and then it started dropping, and we refinanced. And we also refinanced for cash a couple of times for medical stuff and for college bills, things like that. So 817-781-0546 or Jeff at jeffkellyrealty.com. Also, friend Tiffany over at Local Life Magazine. It should be out by now. It usually is by the beginning of the month. I know they have a big deal. You've been in it before, right?
We have been.
I think every December they do like a nonprofit thing. I think that's right, but I know they have done nonprofit issues, and I've seen you in it.
Yes.
Yeah, and Local Life Magazine goes to 30,000 homes. A lot of people get it. A lot of people in the retail area get it, and you can peruse it while you wait or whatnot. So I've seen multiple copies in various of the retail and automobile outlets and whatever else. And our friend Al Warner, get 1,000 business cards for $65. I did that deal about January, and they're really nice, very well made, no problems. Also, trifold brochures, say the word, brochures, $199. I did that as well, and they're just exactly what I asked for. So if you want to do some promotional items, you need to get a hold of Bass Printing. They'll take care of all those promotional items for you. So call him at 817-616-8761 or at bassprinting.com. And you'll be dealing with somebody here locally. Al works out of the hub over in Burleson. So, it's not, just dealing with somebody online. I mean, you go over there to his place and you get on the websites and you'll work it all out. But, you're talking to a real person, not somebody in, Kalamazoo or something like that. So there you are. Shop local, as Alex Phillips would say. I believe that's it. We'll do the nonprofits at the end. We have a couple going on. Did you happen to go to the Harvest House one last week?
I did not. I had a loss in my family.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, that does take priority.
It does. But no, I caught a few of the photos and looked like a great time. I've been in the past, and it's always a very well done event. That's
what I like about these nonprofits, how well you all work together. I know you had to miss the event we had in September because of an illness in the family. Yeah. And, but, you see them all working together. And I bet y'all also coordinate, because I know that sometimes one of y'all might get a rush on something and you're out of it. You're out of bread, you're out of canned corn or whatever. So, you can call them and say, hey, do you got a couple of cases to spare? Yeah,
at times we do share.
Well, this was my experience. Last week, my wife and I, as part of our church, we deal with promises. And we went there last week, and the waiting area was standing room only. The shopping area was full. And it's not a real big area either. And so it was crowded. And they also were very busy in the back because our pastor had made a particular point the previous day on Sunday, say, hey, it's time to pony up. We need to take care of this because we can't wait on the government to do it. So Chris Wigley made it a point. He kept the politics out of it, but he said, didn't matter what politics are. There's people that need help. And so the back was really busy because people were coming in to donate, but it was a full week. How about y'all?
Yes, much the same. Lots of great things happening in the community, lots of great food drives going on and foods coming in, and that's so much needed right now. But yes, we have seen a significant increase in need just from October to November, and are preparing to do what we can to step up and meet the need.
But that happens every November and December, right? Because it is Christmas time, and also you do allow yourself time for to celebrate the holidays yourself, so you're not open quite as often,
right?
And so they're probably more compact in terms of the number of customers. But this shutdown and the food stamp situation came at a particularly difficult time. This was a tough time to do it right before Thanksgiving.
Right.
And it isn't so much because everybody wants the turkey on the table. It's just that what happens, a lot of people don't realize this, but, because a lot of the services aren't available to them, they have more limited time to avail themselves of these services. And if they miss out for whatever reason, it's going to be hard on them.
Right.
All right. So this isn't like, just a special, let's do something for the holidays, even though there's part of that. It's also, this is just a tough time of year.
Exactly. And even when you add the impact of the government shutdown, right? So I believe I had seen a statistic that there are roughly 42,000 federal employees in our area who are working but without pay at this time. Those folks are having to adjust and maybe reach out for assistance in ways they've never had to before. We have seen some of that. We saw some of that in October, people calling and curious, how do I access food assistance because I'm not being paid right now as a federal employee.
And then they are getting that. And a lot of people, being the first time they've done this, they felt some sense of shame about it. And it's like, and we're trying to tell them, I'm sure you are too,
Yes.
it's not your fault.
Right.
And people, part of that deal last night would give them back pay, but it doesn't mean their bills are paid. All right. And like I said, it's going to take a while to unwind it. They may not get that back pay, even if Trump signs it this week, which he probably will. It's going to it'll take, how it is with the government. It'll take a couple more weeks before all that to unwind to get your money back. So they still got another 3 weeks to go probably with no pay. And that means car payments. That means house payments. That means
the electric bill.
The electric bills. And they're getting a lot of that too, a lot of financial requests. How about y'all?
Yes, some of that as well. And then you add into the mix the uncertainty around food stamp assistance. I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that food stamps kind of help families stay out of places like Crowley House of Hope. It is an injection of assistance into their monthly household budget that allows them to get what they need from the grocery store versus having to seek out food pantry assistance. Couple of things to know, right? We can't provide everything to families. We don't have access to all of the things available or, in a grocery store or everything that they need. So a food pantry is not really geared to fill this gap completely, right? We don't have milk on the shelves or any number of items, right? We just don't have access to, or we can't keep enough in stock to serve the number of people who need it.
Refrigerated items are hard to keep.
It's tough. Yeah.
I was talking to Debbie about this, not recently, but a couple of months ago. Meat is hard to keep on the shelf.
It is.
And particularly now, I mean, you and I are both consumers as well.
Right.
And I went to the store just for the family, just for Robin and I, and ground sirloin was like $8 a pound.
Yeah.
And ground beef, that's like 80-20 wasn't available because it was relatively cheaper.
Yeah.
But it was off the shelf.
It's gone.
Yeah. And then so you go to 90-10. It was like $6.58 a pound or something like that. And it was like, this is craziness.
It is.
We're not talking about sirloin, real sirloin or whatever, or filet. But I know that probably y'all and I know Harvest House, No Promises are trying to put together Thanksgiving related items and packaging and whatever else. And I believe, if I was told correctly, that what they're doing is they're putting together sacks of Thanksgiving related food, cornbread,
right,
green beans, which they can have all the green beans they want. I hate green beans, particularly French cut green beans. I mean, that's just cruel.
In the can.
Ugh. I can eat them if they were steamed or something. I can handle it, but out of the can, forget it. Yeah. But they're trying to put together our dressing mixes and all this other stuff. But what they don't have is turkeys.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And in fact, this year we made the difficult decision, just in light of the numbers of people, the struggle that we faced last year in serving the number of families who wanted a Thanksgiving meal, is that it's such a steep climb to just make sure we're serving right at about 1,000 families a month right now, and to try and figure out how do we find another 1,000 meals in the month of November just became really more than what we thought was possible for us. And so, that Thanksgiving basket program is on hold now. Our focus is just making sure we can feed these families, throughout the month, instead of just food for a day. Again, Thanksgiving is wonderful. I'm so glad there are other places who are doing that because, I think, and you do see that a lot of congregations will do those programs. And so hopefully folks will find those services in other places. But yeah, this year it was just a bit of a climb for us.
Well, one advantage Promises has is First Baptist. All right. And the ability of our preacher to go and say, hey, deadbeats, go to the grocery store. God told you.
Exactly.
And that kind of thing. And so that does help. And about every couple of months, we'll come into our Sunday school room and there's a blue bag, bunch of blue bags.
Yeah.
Say, take one. Great. And, there's a purpose to it. So there is that ability. And Harvest House, been around for a long time, nearly 40 years. And they have connections community. Do y'all have those kind of connections here in Crowley, like
absolutely
consistent sources of food? Where do y'all get it?
Yeah, so we've got several congregations here in Crowley: First Methodist, First Baptist, Life Point, the Fountains Fellowship, even a few congregations up into Fort Worth, Meadow Ridge Baptist, St. Luke Presbyterian, and I know I'm regrettably leaving off a few folks. But they are regularly supporting us with food and other types of donations. So
do you have connections with any grocery stores?
We do. We pick up from a couple of local retailers 5 days a week here. We have food delivered and pick up food from 2 food pantries or food banks, local food banks, and so we are probably on a regular week bringing in somewhere between 8,000 and 12,000 pounds of food,
and it's gone.
And it's gone that week.
Yeah, that's the thing is, people think, well, gosh, all these people giving, it's all these food drives I'm being seen in the neighborhood or whatever, and seeing in businesses. I see this, all these events, bring a couple of cans too, and whatever else. Yeah. And they must think, well, you're well stocked. I'm telling you, it flies off the shelf. I remember 3 months ago, and this is before all this crisis was happening, we brought some canned food because they said that's what they needed. They needed canned food. And I brought it in Tuesday afternoon, and it was all gone by Wednesday afternoon. Every stinking can. Yeah. And I thought this ought to hold them a couple of days. And I didn't back up the truck. All right.
Sure.
Let's be clear. I mean, it wasn't like I was bringing in a whole box truck full of food. It was just enough to fill my trunk.
Yeah.
A couple of cases of corn, a couple of cases of green beans, that kind of thing. Boom, out, gone. Yeah. And here's a couple of things. I also become a very good shopper now because I go to like H-E-B and I get the store brand. Yeah. And sometimes, last couple of times, it's been on sale for 50 cents a can. And so, yeah,
you just don't hardly see that anymore. Somebody was telling me this morning there's some grocery store that's running a special on cereal, and they went and cleared the shelves and brought it to us. And
well, we've done that too. I've gone in there and it had like $2 Cheerios knockoffs, the whatever H-E-B brand is. But I'm not the only one doing that anymore because I go there now, and I can see the shelves of the discounted food are a lot more bare because there's a lot more people buying it. Yeah. Not just food banks, but just people, are buying, the 50-cent can of corn. And, and it's really, even people say, well, it's the store brand. Is it as good as Del Monte? It's exactly Del Monte. All that corn is excess from the bigger guys that they sell to the smaller guys to kind of get it off their hands and let them handle the canning and the packaging and whatever else. But it's the same. Yeah. So even when, just for myself and our family, I said, okay, I got 78-cent store brand corn. I got $1.19 Green Giant. Thank you. I'll take the store brand because it's probably the same thing. Yeah, yeah. And so you learn how to be a better shopper because of these things. I guess I would.
And I would say the same for even the families we're serving. They're probably pretty shrewd shoppers when it comes to whatever food stamp assistance benefit they receive. They have to make that stretch.
I see somebody's watching. Oh, Kelly Alexander over at Harvest House.
Good.
Yeah. She could tell you all about it, because she's in the same business. And the thing about it is, if you want to look at the silver lining of all this political hair pulling and carrying on, is that I think it really focused a lot of Americans' attention on the underclass in a sense, because, they can go back to business on, they got food stamps, they got this, they got that. They don't really need me. And then you find out when that rug is yanked out from under them, just how precarious a lot of Americans' lives are. And so I think it may be not a bad thing that Americans have been more aware now of what's going on with their neighbors.
Yeah, and I think by extension, the rallying in our communities, right? That people are coming together, they are understanding of the issue or trying to educate them. Maybe they've never thought about this before. If you don't have to, then you probably don't.
Well,
now you're, maybe somebody who's not had a paycheck in for a couple of pay periods, and they're concerned. Some of us are confronted with these issues for the first time in this situation, and they're moved to action. And I think that's been a real positive thing. About this as well.
It is. Before I started doing the show, I was aware of promises. Like I mentioned, there'd be bags for us to fill every now and then, and that was the extent of it. Yeah. I mean, I really had very little contact with it other than that. And then I started doing the show and started talking with you and the others in this profession, nonprofit area, and it's like it's a whole nother world. And I think that's not a bad thing. I don't know if that was the government's intention. I don't think they do anything intentionally except shoot themselves in the foot. But as far as, I guess if you want to make a positive out of a bad situation, maybe it's made Americans more aware of just how many people live close to the edge or one paycheck away. There's an article came out. I do a lot of reading. My wife tells me about it. I said, it keeps me out of trouble, so what do you care? But anyway, but I was about 2 weeks ago, and about the homeless and how the stereotype of the homeless is not anything what the reality is.
Right.
The people think they drive under Lancaster Bridge downtown Fort Worth. That's homeless. Well, of course it is. But it talked about the very things you and Debbie and Amber and Kelly and the rest of them had all talked about.
Right.
Living out of their car.
Yeah.
Couch surfing.
Many of them employed.
Yeah, most of them employed.
Yeah.
Most of them working at retail, or they're working, at the grocery store or something like that. But they, the rent and the utilities are so high, and that just it's impossible to make it.
It is.
And then so it was I was reading this article, and it was in a real long article, and I could have written this article now because I wouldn't have been able to 6 months or 6 years ago rather. So
yeah. Crowley House of Hope over the last since August has been participating in a pilot program that Partnership Home is hosting. What we're doing is we are an assessment location for families with minor children who are experiencing homelessness or who are within 14 days or so of becoming homeless. And what the assessment does is number one, it gets them, entered into a community-wide database for local homeless services, gets them on waiting list for family shelters, but also sets them up with other resources that maybe can help them, divert from this situation. Or there are other sort of rapid exit programs as well they may be eligible for. And so all of these are, single mothers with children or even families with children. We've assessed several, full family units and folks living in motels, and they just can't think about, how in the world am I going to make the next week's payment to stay here one more week. It is a prevalent issue in this community, especially among families, because there just aren't a lot of resources for them. And so we've been participating in that and seeing some great things come of it, and hope to continue that work.
Well, one of the more unfortunate political aspects of this is not so much a stigma of the recipients, but a lot of distrust about the government and how they provide, and the inefficiency of it, the potential for graft and skimming off the top, and you hear all these stories about how people take advantage of government contracts and, developers or providers of services or whatever else. And so a lot of people like, I don't want the government to do these things because it's just a means of giving money to favorite interest groups by the two political parties and all this other routine. If that's how you feel, that's fine. I guess we could discuss that on my show when I'm doing it by myself or something. But the point is, that doesn't alleviate us of our responsibility. All right.
Very true.
You know, whatever our opinion about how the government does things, and if it does it efficiently or honestly or whatever, or ethically, that doesn't mean, and therefore we allow ourselves to drop out and say, well, that's not my problem, because it is our problem.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
it's not just a moral problem on our, it's not just the way we want our society to be, but it's also, there's a lot of negative effects on a community when you have a lot of homelessness
Right.
and a lot of people on relief.
Right.
There's a lot of other social issues that are involved. I'm sure you see this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Higher rates of spousal abuse, higher
Mhm.
rates of divorce or separation.
Right.
Discipline issues in the school because
Right.
the kids they come to school in a highly stressed situation, and some teacher looks at them just the wrong way and they go off.
It's an extremely traumatic
Mhm.
experience
Mhm.
and affects people from every, socially, emotionally, physically, mentally, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the same for, families dealing with this, issue of food insecurity. The
Mhm.
stress of this situation compounds already, people who are already living in stressful situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is now multiplied for them. And so, right, the challenges that we face, I every morning I wake up and when I have my prayer time, I think about my volunteers first and foremost. These are folks who are on the front lines of this. It's not easy to be in a place where you are listening to the difficult stories of folks who just don't know what's happening, right? They have so many questions. Their needs are great. They have a great amount of fear, a great amount of frustration, and to listen to these stories and take this on it comes at some cost to volunteers.
Yeah, I would imagine. We were talking a little bit
And
beforehand.
it's stressful. Mm-hmm. And so one of the ways people are lots of questions about how do I help.
Mhm.
Think about joining a volunteer team at one of these locations. Help to share some of that burden with volunteers by listening. Right, I call it the ministry of listening. I can't, in many cases, fix a lot of these situations.
I would imagine probably not a lot of them. I mean, you
Right.
may be able to give them some food
Right.
or help pay the car payment,
Exactly.
but you're not going to fix their marriage
Oh, no.
or their problems with their kids
Right.
or their health issues.
Exactly.
Or the employment issue. I mean, that's what's frustrating. I know it has to be because even in this removed distance that I sit, it's like, gosh, I wish I had, Bill Gates money. I'd be throwing it around like, all over it. Would I? I don't know. But I'd like to think I would.
Right.
But, but it's like there's so much need out there, and there's only just so much I can do. And,
Exactly.
and I think that's what I'd tell the listeners as well. Don't let that keep you from doing even the little you think you can do.
That's right.
Because a little from you and a little from them, and a little from them adds up to a lot. But it just, that's what really started frustrating me a little bit when I started being a bit more proactive with promises, is I thought, well, this should really help them out. Well, it did for 24 hours. And then he's still in the same spot 24 hours later in terms of need.
Right.
I thought, wow, I thought that would be a game changer for him. And it didn't even it just kept him going one more day.
Yeah.
And,
Which, hey, we're excited about. We're excited to be able to go one more day.
yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is.
But I would, and again, I don't want to give anybody impression. I'm really
Right.
loading up the box truck. It's just the small amount my wife and I can do. But it really felt like we were just trying to put out a fire with a squirt gun.
Yeah.
But you get 1,000 squirt guns on it, maybe it'll bring the fire down, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's kind of how we have to look at it now.
It is. And people, we've been getting a lot of questions lately, what's better, a monetary donation or a donation of food? And it's like, it all works. It all helps. So yes, I have the ability to probably make your dollar go a little bit further than you can, but I can't get everything that I want to offer people, or sometimes the resources that I can draw from have limits. And so when somebody else brings those couple of bags of cans or shelf-stable food, that fills the gap for the things that I can't get with the person's money that donated, financially. Right. So it's all important, and it all, it all has a key role in fighting what it is we're fighting right now.
Yeah, and people really should not pay a lot of credence to a lot of these anecdotes or urban legends about, people pulling up in Cadillacs. Right. That's political rhetoric. I've had a couple of people say, look, are they really poor, or they just get by? Because you go there and they all have cell phones and all this other stuff. And it's like, you don't know what that particular person's situation is. This may be their first time. They may have had some sort of catastrophe in their life, financially or otherwise, and this is their first or second time to go to one of these things. And so they have, a cell phone, or they have, they're not wearing rags and whatever else. And so we shouldn't look at it like there's a lot of scammers out there, because there's not. And now I know there's probably somebody out there that does, but that's the nature of doing business. I always thought, when Jesus fed the 5,000, did he take inventory about who had wherewithal? It always struck me as an odd story, because of all those people, only one kid brought lunch. And so, there's a few deadbeats in that crowd that got fed by that little boy, right? So, that kind of urban legend or whatever is greatly, greatly exaggerated.
It is. It is. Right?
And so,
everybody can make better choices, right? I could have made a better choice, already today. I can tell you that. And so that it's no different. We're all humans. We can all, there are all things in our lives we can look at that go, oh man, I should have made a different decision there. No different than the people we're serving. Yeah. But by and large, the need is there. It is substantiated. And what you see on the outside isn't always, truly what's going on the inside. We struggle with the same thing. We see a car, we see somebody's got a name brand handbag or something like that. What that tells us is that, we don't know everything about a person. We have to keep that in mind. Maybe 2 years ago, they had a wonderful job that afforded them those things. And that's just not the case anymore. The stories are endless about that. I think the other thing that, folks should know is that the vast majority of people we're serving are elderly.
Right.
Have physical disabilities. You can go to our food pantry today that's open, and you can just scan the back of the room, and most of what it is that you're going to see are people who are 60 years of age and older, or who have some sort of visible physical disability. And then you see women with children. Right. And in probably 99% of those cases, those folks have a working adult in the home. These are people who live outside of the boundaries of food stamp assistance. They make just a little too much money to qualify for that program. Or in the case of older adults, they receive so little assistance through SNAP that, they need the extra help.
Right.
So, yeah, it's right. The sort of I think it was called the welfare queen back in the 80s, right?
Right.
That sort of stereotype is certainly non-existent in most cases.
In the 80s, it was more prevalent, but during the 90s and 2000s, they really changed a lot of the boundaries and wherewithal of these social programs. So you have less and less of it than you did maybe 40 years ago, when basically it was pretty wide open. But the thing about it is, like, let's say this person comes in and they have made bad choices. They're living the consequences of those choices right now. We don't need to compound them by saying, well, you shouldn't have done that, therefore you don't deserve help, or, you got what's coming to you, or whatever attitude. Now, let's be very clear. this is not an attitude I run into hardly ever, because most people in my circle of life, fortunately, are compassionate. All right, and I'm fortunate that I don't really have to deal with a lot of these kind of yahoos that want to say, well, they got what they deserve because they did drugs, or they got married too young, or had a child out of wedlock, or blah 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 blah. Fortunately for me, I don't know hardly anybody in my life like that. It's more what I've read in some of these anonymous postings on social media, where you got these internet cowards that get on there and they say all these harsh things. All right, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. But I'm blessed that my family and my friends and my church members and most of my acquaintances, if not all of them, have this similar attitude of, it really doesn't matter how they got there. We need to help them.
Right.
But that's just the unfortunate thing about the internet. You get these keyboard warriors, and there you are.
Yeah, there you are.
And I just, in your case, and in your volunteers case, there must be some mornings you get up and say, I don't know if I got it today. Does that happen?
We talk about that. We talk about we're not always in the right frame of mind to be serving in this capacity. And so we encourage volunteers to, let's be mindful of that. And if it's not a good day for you, what else would you like to do today? There's lots of ways to serve that doesn't involve interfacing with the public. I think it's fair to say, as the executive director, that there are days that I dig deep. Now, I don't necessarily have the luxury of saying I'm not doing this today.
Right.
But things happen in life, and you're not always in the best place. And so you dig deep and you find the way. And of course, you rely on your faith greatly to help you through that. But our volunteer family, we like to, we call it a family, right? We are. And some days are good and some days aren't so good.
Yeah.
And we work through them as they come along.
Well, it's like when I was in teaching school, most days I just get up, go do it, and the day would be good, fair, so, great, not so great, whatever. But it would just, then the next day I get up and do the same thing. Yeah. It would just get up. But there were days like, I don't know if I have it in me to teach anything today, and these guys aren't paying attention. Grumble. But I hear the voice in my head, using my father's voice, saying, "Get your butt out of the sack." So you talk about, I just got schooled well when I was younger. Just take care of your responsibilities. But no, I know exactly what you're talking about, because some days I just really didn't have it in me to teach, but I didn't have that option not to go. Sure. And so, and then what often happened was I go there and something really good would happen.
Exactly.
It's like church sometimes, like, I'd like to sleep in this Sunday, but I got to go to church because, that's what we do. And then you go to church and you hear something or encounter something that really is helpful, and, and it makes you think, I'm glad I came.
Yeah. Would have hated to miss this.
I would have missed this had I listened to that voice in my head that says, roll over and sleep longer.
Right.
And so, I get it. I admire it so much because I know it just every day. And, I talk to, Next Step, I talk to Crazy Eights, I talk to all these others, and it's like fundraising is 24/7. Yeah. It doesn't take a holiday. No. And because the needs don't take a holiday.
No, they don't. And donors are reaching out in various ways at 7:50 in the morning and, 7:50 at night. It is and, I think it is one of the joys of the work is that it is a part of who I am, right? And it's part of what I do, part of what I will always do. And so it is just a bit of an extension of me. And so I'm happy to fill that time with that.
If somebody called you right now and said, what is the number one need you have, what would you tell them?
Well, first and foremost is always prayer. We have to have some prayer to sustain us through this work. Secondly, financial contribution to Crowley House of Hope in an undesignated way helps us to put those funds to work in whatever way we see fit. We're about to embark on providing Christmas to 572 children in this community. We're going to need some money for that. We're going to, continue to cover electric bills and water bills, and we'll need funding for that as well. Of course, food assistance is a big priority right now, but we need manpower. We need men and women who are interested in getting in the trenches in your community and assisting people who are struggling and who need a little bit of hope, in a friendly face and a bright smile. So those are the needs.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned about a toy drive. Are you talking about Toys for Tots, or are you talking about your separate one?
Well, we participate in, we receive toys from Toys for Tots that will go towards the care of those children. But we know we will need toys outside of that as well. It won't be enough to cover the need.
What's the age bracket? I mean, because a lot of people think of Toys for Tots. They think tots, but you got 13-year-olds, right?
Right. We're serving with toys. We're serving children from birth to age 10. Crowley House of Hope does serve children that are 11 years of age through. Well,
there's the Toys for Tots. I was going to mention that in a minute, but let's talk about yours specifically.
Age 18 through with gift cards. So we've given up trying to buy toys for older kids.
Well,
it's a little difficult, and moms and dads know what their kids want way better than I could figure it out. So.
For me too. I mean, I haven't bought toys for tots since mine were tots, and and that's but so it's not just that particular drive, but also your own drive. Right. I don't know if Harvest House is doing that. They probably are. They've been Christmas friends for a long time, but I'm sure if Kelly's still listening, she can throw it up on the screen. Promises really doesn't get into that kind of thing. No, it's mostly they're mostly food. When we started, and I was on the committee in 1997, we started Promises, and it was just going to be about our back door practically. I mean, just a small thing, and it got a little bigger. It's the building that's now the Christian Physicians Clinic. It was our original separate building. Okay. And then, of course, they have the one on Renfro now. And they got out of the clothes business because they said, we need to focus on one thing. Yeah. And, Harvest House has the clothing market pretty well covered. Nat and Rachel's Hope. Yeah. You all sell clothing, right?
We do. Yeah. I think, I think a good nonprofit is when they can say, man, we can focus on this and do this really, really well. And there are other people doing other things in the community really well. I think that's amazing and a smart way to operate.
Well, it's a tough time for poor families as well, because it's not just the usual bills, but you want your children to have a Christmas.
Exactly.
Right? Because I can't think of anything more humiliating for a child to go to school after the holidays and they're here, all their friends, what they got for Christmas, and they got nothing. Yeah. And I think that kind of anger that builds in a young child expresses itself when I got them in high school, okay? Because they felt not just deprived, they felt left out and whatever else. And so, Jack Matson's crew at the Marine Corps League has really, really done a great job. So, okay, you can throw up that Toys for Tots now, Josh.
They have. It's amazing what they're doing.
He was on a week ago Thursday. Right. And Jack is, he has his heart in this. It really is. My only issue is they say Burleson ISD Stadium. Dadgummit, it's Elk Stadium. All right. Okay. That's where I went. And I thought it was Elk Stadium. But whatever. Anyway, so what they got this going on is that I'm looking for the day, but I believe I know what it is, but I don't want to mistake it. December 3rd, right?
I was coming up.
Yeah, December 3rd. So we're talking about 3-4 weeks from now. To go by and go by Target or Walmart or whatever and get some toys. And they got boxes all over. Oh, yeah. All the restaurants here in town have them. I encountered them at Old South when we do our B&I meeting, or all of Otto's joints, stuff like that. I was, in fact, Robin and I were in Grapevine on Saturday, and there's a mall, antique mall she really likes, and that's what I do to maintain a happy marriage, is go to antique malls anyway. and there were Toys for Tots boxes over there too. So this isn't just a Burleson thing, obviously.
Yeah, no, it's.
But what I liked about this was, for me, I went to Target. I was going to buy for like a 12-year-old, because a lot of times the older they are, the less people think about them at Christmas, because everybody thinks of them as young children. And I got some Star Wars related toys, and then I went to the event last year. And it was a real big deal over the stadium. They had singing, and the high school choirs and dance teams were doing stuff, and they had Santa there, and they had it was just a real festive atmosphere. And I was able to put the toys in the box. Made sure to say, Jack, here, there they are. See, why don't you? Okay, give us a credit. So, I know you're not supposed to do that, but I wanted Jack to see.
Yeah.
And he was ecstatic because they had a real good year. And you're part of this, right?
Right. So we receive toys from Toys for Tots that we utilize for our distribution. So for those 572 kiddos that are already signed up. And it's a boon for this community to be able to come together like that and support these families.
I know Harvest House is part of this, and so is Fountains Church.
Oh, that's right.
And they're trying to get 6,000 toys, and it's more than just dropping toys in a box. I mean, it's a logistical issue. I mean, they warehouse these things, they organize these things, and then y'all connect with them, say, we need X amount. Is that how this works?
Right. You apply, for the toys and tell them what you need number wise, and then they do their best to fill that need.
Yeah, and it's it really is a special thing.
It is.
And it was fun for me because I haven't bought toys, and I don't know, since my son is 33, my daughter's 30. I haven't bought toys for them in 20 years.
Right.
And then, of course, when you get to be at 12 or 13, Santa starts bringing you socks or jeans and whatever else, right?
Exactly.
Clothes. And geez, I want toys, even,
Right.
But but it was kind of fun in a way to go and actually think about buying for, I just kind of put myself in the mindset I was buying for my young children.
Yeah.
What would my daughter want when she was 10?
Exactly.
What my son would want when he was 10, and that kind of thing. And it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
There's also something else going on in there. The ASD crew, let's talk about that, the Burleson Christmas Ball. This one's coming on the 13th, and it's going to be at the Loft Rustic Creek Ranch. It's a Christmas ball for friends at Center for ASD. They do such great work. They really do. It's from 6 from 11. So it's going to also be in support of the Toys for Tots drive. And so if you really want to know more about this, check out the website for Center for ASD and find out a lot of other information. But it is the 13th of the next month, and 6 to 11. I have not been at Loft Rustic Creek Ranch. Is that used to be Beaumont Ranch?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I know I've seen it.
Yeah,
but I haven't been in it. I mean, I drive by it. It's on the highway, so there you go.
I have no idea.
But there's going to be some more of these activities coming up. I mean, there's a lot of groups. I do know also a lot of organizations and companies are having their Christmas parties, and they're now starting to incorporate. Hey, come to the Christmas party, company Christmas party, and bring some canned food.
Right.
Yeah, so they're trying to. Yeah,
it's a simple thing to add that makes a huge impact.
Well, I think it's just something that now they're more aware of, because I heard of a couple of stores going to have for their employees and maybe their customers even, and that's going to be part of it. Speaking of which, I want to make a shout out to a friend of mine, Gayla over at Southern Gym. They're having their network at night at the Burleson Chamber tomorrow night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, good. So that's a big deal. Melissa and the rest would appreciate you, showing up for that. So it's a big crew over there at the Burleson Chamber of Commerce, and every time I go over there, it's always entertaining.
I bet so.
Yeah,
great people.
Oh yeah, they are. So anyway, that's tomorrow night. I just thought I'd throw that out there to the top of my head. Thank you, Aaron Ash. He's a regular listener. Hope Cleveland does some of this stuff. I'm trying to get more Cleveland-oriented shows as well. I know I got a Joshua one this coming up Thursday in the afternoon. It's going to be in 2 in the afternoon instead of the usual times, with a couple of members of the Joshua ISD.
Oh, good.
Talking about technology and curriculum, things of that nature.
Nice. That's my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Joshua.
Are you in Burleson City Limits and Joshua ISD?
Well, I'm actually between Joshua and Godley, kind of in an unincorporated part of Johnson County, but Joshua ISD.
Yeah.
All 3 of our boys graduated from there.
Well, it's growing like nobody's business. Yeah. I mean, it really is. I've gotten to know them a little bit. I had the superintendent on last month, and their fellow Kirk Heimbagner sets me up with these people, and Another benefit of this job is, when I was a school teacher, I was like, room 123 is all that mattered. My little
Yeah.
piece of turf, right?
Yeah.
And those people down the street had no idea what's going on.
Right.
Well, I've gotten a bit more of a global vision of what's going on with schools, and it's given me some good perspective on how things work and whatnot.
Good.
So I'm going to let you finish up. So tell us what we need to know.
Yeah. I want to first of all just thank Brad for this platform. Of course, we appreciate that,
Well, that's
getting
quite
the
all right.
word out.
I'm benefiting more than you are, I think.
Well, I want to be sure to just mention a couple of folks here. I want to thank we had the second annual Mayor's Fall Food Drive. Thanks to Mayor Billy Davis here in Crowley for supporting that, as well as the council and staff and employees of the city of Crowley. Special shout out to Julie Hepler. She's the Main Street events coordinator here, and she always makes sure Crowley House of Hope is connected to citywide events when it's appropriate. And we are thankful for that. Just the numerous congregations and individuals and other community groups who are supporting with food drives and upcoming toy drives. We are partners in this good work, and it would not be possible without them. So I would be remiss if I didn't express my gratitude. But folks, the reality is there are a lot of people in our community who are just trying to figure out today and tomorrow, and maybe looking forward to the next few days. If you have it and can share with any food pantry, when you share with one of us, you share with all of us. It makes a difference for each and every one of us. Feel free to drop by to Crowley House of Hope or one of the other locations and make that donation. And I can tell you that you are not only putting food on that table, you are alleviating stress in that household, and you are making difficult days a little bit easier. So we appreciate it. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to me, website, Facebook, however it works for you.
Well, I appreciate what you do. I've come to really grow in my appreciation over the last few years about this. And we can bellyache about the government all we want, and we see how much good that does. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Which party's involved or at fault or both, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're squabbling. They're going to put food on the table. It's up to us.
That's right.
You read scripture, you don't see Christ sin, and you need a really good government program to, basically he says, take care of that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So we have our marching orders out there, vast listening audience. Share this with your friends. Next time you go to the store, throw in about 5 extra cans.
Yeah.
That's about $2-3.
Yeah.
And then drop them by. Even if you can only give 4 cans of corn, that's 4 cans of corn.
Absolutely.
And I really honestly believe that it will be blessed and expanded more so than you might imagine. Never feel like because you can't do everything that you can't do anything. Never feel like because you can't solve the problem, you can't be a part of the solution. I like that. I want to patent that.
I think
copyright it.
That's perfect.
Should I copyright that?
I'll write it down for you.
Yeah, you're going to have to because I've already forgotten what I said. All right. Thank you, Josh. And we'll see you Thursday. I guess you have a long walk back.
I
right?
do.
About a whole block.
About a whole block away. Yeah.
I appreciate what you do and appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And guys, like I said, I'll see you Thursday afternoon. And this will be on community radio at 6:00 tonight and 1:00 tomorrow afternoon. Live 365, tune in, and usually, I do always, I put the link on the Facebook page what I do is I go right home and I do what I do.
Do what you do.
Do what I do to get it up there so at y'all's convenience. So we'll see y'all next week or next Thursday. Good grief. I'm getting too senile. Next Thursday, 2:00.